The stars had always called to humanity, from the first rocket that broke the atmosphere to the first colony built on the red dust of Mars. Humans had always reached further than they were allowed. But now the galaxy itself had spoken, and the message was clear. No more warships. The Galactic Council gathered inside a shining hall that orbited a golden sun. There were hundreds of alien delegates, each more strange than the last. They looked down on the human representatives with cold eyes. To them, humanity was dangerous, a threat that must be chained before it grew too strong. A tall alien with scales like black stone stood and declared, "Humans are forbidden from building warships of any kind. If they dare to resist this law, the Council will take action against Earth." The chamber erupted in agreement, voices echoing, claws and tendrils slamming the air. The humans sat still. Ambassador Reyes, gray-haired but sharp-eyed, felt the weight of the decree settle like iron on his chest. He knew the Council feared them. They feared the resilience of a species born on a death world, a species that had survived cold winters, burning deserts, and endless wars, only to rise stronger each time. Reyes stood slowly, his voice calm but firm. "Counselors, you ask us to surrender our defense while the galaxy is full of predators. You ask us to remain weak while others keep their fleets. This is not justice, it is fear." But his words were drowned in laughter. The Council mocked the humans openly, calling them reckless, violent, and unworthy of trust. One alien leader sneered, "You humans are unpredictable. You fight like cornered beasts. We give you colonies and trade, yet still you thirst for power. No more warships, no more fleets. This is final." Reyes clenched his fists beneath the table. He could not show weakness. He could not show defiance. Not here, not yet. So he bowed his head and sat down. The vote passed and the law was written. Humanity was forbidden from building warships. When the humans returned to Earth, silence filled their council chamber. Generals, scientists, and leaders argued into the night. Some wanted to obey, to keep peace. Others shouted that surrender meant death. The galaxy would never see them as equals. They would always be slaves to fear unless they defied the law. Admiral Carter, a broad-shouldered veteran, finally spoke. "Listen well," he said, his voice like thunder. "They fear us for a reason. They call us dangerous because they know what happens when humans fight. We survived Earth. We can survive them. If they forbid us to build ships, then we will build them stronger, but we will do it in the shadows, hidden from their eyes." The room fell silent. Every face turned toward him, some afraid, some hopeful. Slowly, heads began to nod. The decision was made that night. Humanity would not surrender. Humanity would resist. In secret asteroid fields and hidden stations beyond the edges of mapped space, construction began. Engines roared in the dark. Hulls were forged in silence. Men and women worked without rest. Knowing discovery meant execution. The galaxy thought humans were broken, but in truth, humanity was sharpening its claws. One young officer named Arya watched from the command deck of a secret station. She was only 25, but her eyes burned with determination. She had lost her brother to an alien raid on a frontier colony. For her, this was not politics. It was survival. She whispered to herself as she stared at the half-built warship before her. "They think they can chain us. They think they can silence us. But they don't understand. We are human. We rise when others fall." And so, under the cover of shadows, the first seeds of defiance were planted. The galaxy believed humans would obey. The galaxy believed the law was unbreakable, but humans had never been good at following rules. The story of the Forbidden Fleet was only beginning. And already, whispers of destiny echoed in the dark between the stars. If they feared us unarmed, what would they do when they saw what we had built? The law of the Council spread across the stars like fire. Every empire, every colony, every station whispered the same words. Humans are forbidden from building warships. Merchants laughed at the news. Smugglers repeated it with joy, and alien soldiers nodded with relief. To them, the problem was solved, but in the shadows of the Sol system, the truth was very different. Deep inside a hollowed asteroid, lights flickered as engineers worked without pause. The air rang with the sound of metal being forged, engines being tested, and armor plates being sealed. The project had a name whispered only in locked rooms, Project Iron Dawn. This was no ordinary fleet. These ships were not copies of alien designs. They were something new, something stronger, something alive with human defiance. Arya, the young officer with fire in her eyes, walked the narrow corridors of the secret dock. She carried datapads filled with codes, designs, and plans that would never be seen by alien inspectors. Her voice was calm, but her heart thundered with pride. Every rivet, every circuit, every hidden reactor meant hope, and hope was something the galaxy had tried to strip away. On Earth, Ambassador Reyes spoke carefully to the Galactic Council. He bowed, he smiled, he played the role of the obedient servant. But when the lights dimmed and the transmissions ended, he whispered to his aides, "Every insult they throw at us only adds steel to our resolve. They think we are broken. They are wrong." Admiral Carter traveled in secret shuttles, never leaving records behind. He inspected the hidden shipyards, his stern face breaking into rare smiles as he saw the progress. The first warship was taking shape, massive and elegant, a blade forged in silence. Its name was Valkyrie, chosen to remind every builder of Earth's ancient warriors. The Valkyrie would not only fly, it would defy the stars, but secrets never stay hidden forever. In the distant reaches of the Orion Arm, an alien spy named Zeru picked up faint transmissions, encrypted signals bouncing between asteroids and Earth's dark side. He narrowed his eyes, his scaled hands tapping the console. "Humans do not stay quiet for long," he muttered. He began to dig deeper, searching for the truth behind the silence. Back in the hidden dock, tension grew. Engineers whispered of discovery, of alien fleets sweeping down to crush them before they were ready. Arya gathered the crew and spoke with steady fire. "Yes, they may find us. Yes, they may come for us, but let them come. Because when they arrive, they will see not weakness. They will see humanity's fury, forged in steel." Her words echoed through the chamber, and every hand returned to work with renewed strength. The first tests began. Engines roared to life, shaking the dock with thunder. Energy shields flickered into place, brighter and stronger than any alien design. The Valkyrie drank power like a beast awakening from sleep. Admiral Carter whispered under his breath, "This is no longer just a ship, this is a promise." Meanwhile, in the council halls, alien delegates grew uneasy. Some spoke of strange reports, of human resource shipments that did not match official records. Others dismissed it as paranoia. "Humans cannot hide such things from us," they scoffed. But deep down the counselors feared. They feared because they remembered Earth's history. Every time humanity was forbidden, every time they were cornered, they rose again, fiercer than before, and so the whispers grew. Whispers of hidden fleets, of forbidden engines roaring in the dark, whispers of humans smiling as the galaxy mocked them. The same whispers reached the ears of spies, smugglers, and generals alike. The truth was like a storm forming just beyond the horizon, unseen but unstoppable. Arya stood on the bridge of the unfinished Valkyrie, staring into the void. Her voice was soft, almost a prayer. "They believe we are broken, they believe we bow, but they will learn. No chains hold humanity for long." The warship glowed in the darkness, its frame almost ready, its heart beating with power. The galaxy still slept, unaware of what was rising in the shadows. But the silence would not last, because soon one spark would set fire to the stars. The galaxy thought humans were broken. The law was clear, the council was satisfied, and most empires believed Earth had bowed its head. But far from the glowing capitals of alien worlds, in the cold silence between suns, the truth was very different. The hidden shipyards were no longer building one vessel, they were building dozens. Asteroids were hollowed out, moons were reshaped, stations were disguised as mining colonies. What began as whispers of defiance had grown into thunder. This was no longer a single project, this was the birth of an armada. The Valkyrie stood completed now. Her black hull drank the light of distant stars. Her engines pulsed with power. Beside her, 3 more warships emerged. Aegis, Revenant, and Orion. Each one carried new weapons. Designed in secret by Earth's brightest minds, they were not copies of alien fleets. They were something different, something terrifying in their simplicity, efficiency, power, resilience. Human traits turned into steel. Admiral Carter stood on the bridge of the Valkyrie, his eyes burning as he looked at the fleet. "This is not rebellion," he whispered. "This is survival." But even as the fleet grew, so did the danger. Alien spies hunted for truth. Saru, the scaled operative from the Orion arm, had already gathered fragments of intercepted signals, encrypted shipments of ore, unexplained energy surges, and whispers from smugglers. He sent a message to the Galactic Council. I believe the humans are hiding something, and if I am right, it is something the galaxy will not survive. Back on Earth, the Human Council debated in shadows. Some leaders feared discovery, urging restraint. Others argued that hesitation would doom them. Finally, Ambassador Reyes raised his hand, silencing the room. We cannot erase their fear of us, he said. So let us use it. We will not show our hand until the moment they strike, and when they do, the galaxy will see what we have forged in silence. Meanwhile, in the hidden docks, Arya walked the decks of the newly built Aegis. Her footsteps echoed on steel floors that smelled of oil and ozone. She thought of her brother, of every colony burned by alien raids, of every insult thrown at humanity. She touched the cold hull and whispered, "This ship is not just metal, it is our answer. It is our voice when words fail." The first secret trials began. The Valkyrie and the Aegis powered up side by side, their engines burning brighter than alien suns. They slipped through dark space, running silent, invisible to scanners. In simulations, they fought entire alien fleets, and every time the human ships emerged victorious, the builders cheered in silence, pride swelling in their chests. But the Admiral's face remained grave. He knew this was only the beginning, because already shadows were closing in. In distant council chambers, alien voices grew louder. Humans are too quiet, they said. Where are their colonies? Where are their fleets? Something is hidden, we can feel it. Some demanded inspections, others demanded war. The galaxy stood on edge, waiting for proof, and proof was coming, faster than anyone expected. One night, a smuggler's ship drifted too close to the hidden docks. The pilot stared in awe as the massive silhouette of the Valkyrie eclipsed the stars. He fled, carrying tales of impossible human ships stronger than anything in the galaxy. Those tales spread like fire through backwater bars and trading posts, and though the council dismissed them as rumors, fear had already begun to bloom. Arya stood on the observation deck as the fleet lined up in silence, her voice carried across the bridge, steady and defiant. They think we are broken. They think we are blind, but let them come. Let them test us, because when they do, they will see the silent armada that waits in the dark. The warships hung in formation, black steel against the stars. The galaxy still believed in their weakness. But the truth was ready, sharp as a blade. And soon, the silence would break. The galaxy had lived in false peace for months. Alien leaders believed their law had worked. They believed humanity was quiet, obedient, broken. But cracks began to show. Whispers of warships drifted through the trade lanes. Rumors of human ships stronger than fleets, faster than scouts, deadlier than cruisers. The whispers could not be silenced. The Galactic Council met again in their shining chamber. This time the air was thick with suspicion. Delegates shouted over one another, demanding answers. An insectoid lord hissed, "Humans hide something, I smell it. Their silence is too deep, their obedience too perfect." A reptilian warlord slammed his tail against the floor. "Send inspectors to Earth. If they refuse, we send fleets." Ambassador Reyes bowed and smiled. His words were humble, careful, wrapped in diplomacy. "We obey the Council's law. We build no warships. Come see for yourselves." The chamber quieted, suspicion softened, but inside, Reyes's heart pounded like thunder, because he knew the truth. If the inspectors looked too closely, everything would collapse. Days later, alien ships arrived at Earth. Their scanners swept across the planet and its colonies. Inspectors walked through shipyards, finding only freighters and research craft. To them, it looked convincing. Every scrap of evidence showed compliance, but behind the curtain of stars, in the Ast, aeroid fields beyond Neptune, the true fleet slept in silence. The inspectors never reached there. Yet danger crept closer. Saru, the spy who had followed human signals, intercepted a message hidden deep within encrypted code. It spoke of engines tested in the dark, weapons calibrated in silence. He stared at the data, his scales rippling with dread. They did not stop, he whispered. They never stopped. He sent his findings to the council, demanding immediate action. Meanwhile, Admiral Carter stood on the bridge of the Valkyrie. Reports of inspections reached him. He clenched his jaw, knowing discovery was only a matter of time. Every day we hide, the net tightens, he told Arya. But every day we build, our strength grows. Arya's eyes blazed. Then let us finish before they find us, because once the truth breaks, there will be no turning back. In the council halls, arguments turned to chaos. Some demanded war, fearing human defiance. Others argued for patience, afraid of awakening something they could not control. The insectoid lord shrieked, "End them now, strike before they rise." The reptilian general growled, "No, wait, if we strike too soon, we reveal our fear." But the fear was already spreading. Every empire felt the storm on the horizon. Back in the shadows of the shipyards, humanity worked harder, faster, stronger. The Armada was no longer a secret project. It was a race against time. Engines roared, weapons hummed, shields flared with power. Each ship completed was a blade drawn in silence. Each ship hidden was a promise kept. One night, Arya walked the silent decks of the Orion. Another warship nearly finished. She paused at the observation glass, watching stars glitter like fire. Her reflection stared back, young yet hardened. "They will come for us," she whispered. "They will try to crush us, but when they do, they will learn the law they force." It upon us was their greatest mistake. The galaxy was watching now. Every whisper, every rumor, every intercepted signal brought them closer to the truth. The council prepared fleets in secret. Spies spread like shadows across the human colonies, and humanity braced for the day their silence would be shattered, because discovery was no longer a question, it was a countdown. And when the truth came out, the stars themselves would tremble. The galaxy's patience ran out. For months they had suspected, for months they had whispered, but now one empire decided to act. The Keth Dominion, a proud reptilian race, declared that humans were liars. They claimed Earth still built weapons in secret, and they vowed to teach humanity a lesson. Without warning, the Dominion fleet descended on Vega Prime, a frontier human colony. Dozens of warships filled the sky, their weapons flashing, their voices echoing across comms. "Submit or be destroyed," they hissed. The colonists screamed, alarms filled the air. For the first time since the ban, humanity stood on the edge of annihilation. News reached the secret shipyards. Admiral Carter stood on the bridge of the Valkyrie, his jaw set, his heart heavy. He looked at Arya and the other commanders. "They want proof of our strength," he said. "Then let us give it to them." The order was given. The Valkyrie would fly. Humanity would unleash its hidden hand. When the warship emerged from the shadow of the asteroid field, even its builders gasped. The black hull gleamed with defiance, engines blazing like suns. To the Dominion fleet, it was only one ship. They laughed, confident in their numbers, but numbers had never frightened humans. The battle began with a roar. Dominion cruisers fired, their beams cutting through the void. The Valkyrie answered with a single strike. Its cannons tore through an enemy destroyer in seconds. Shields that were thought unbreakable shattered like glass. Another blast, another ship destroyed. The colonists on Vega watched with wide eyes as the lone human warships fought against an entire fleet. Panic spread among the Dominion commanders. "This is impossible," one hissed. "How can a single human ship burn through us like fire?" But the truth was clear. The humans had not only built warships, they had built them stronger. On the bridge, Arya's hands danced over controls. Her voice was calm, but her eyes blazed with fury. "For my brother," she whispered as she fired another volley. Another Dominion vessel exploded into light. The colonists began to cheer, their fear replaced by awe. They had seen weakness before, but this was power. Within minutes, half the Dominion fleet was gone. The rest turned and fled, their arrogance broken. The lone Valkyrie drifted above Vega Prime, scarred but unbroken. The people looked to the stars and whispered the same words. Humanity has returned. News of the battle spread faster than light. Smugglers carried the tale. Traders repeated it in hushed voices. One ship, they said, one human ship had destroyed a fleet. The story grew with every retelling. By the time it reached the council chambers, it was legend. The Galactic Council erupted in chaos. Some shouted in rage, demanding humanity's destruction. Others trembled in silence, realizing what this meant. The ban had failed, the law had been broken, and the galaxy now faced a species that had turned chains into swords. Back in the hidden dockyards, cheers shook the halls. The engineers who had worked in silence for years wept with pride. The Valkyrie returned to its brothers, to the Aegis, Revenant, and Orion. The Armada was real, the Armada was ready. But Admiral Carter did not smile. He looked at the fleet and said only one thing. This was only the beginning. Arya stood beside him, her voice steady. They wanted proof. Now they have it, and soon the entire galaxy will learn. We are not the broken ones, we are the builders, we are the warriors. The stars burned with new fear that night because the first strike had come and humanity had answered with fire. The galaxy shook after Vega Prime. Every council chamber, every military base, every empire repeated the same tale. One human warship had destroyed an entire fleet. The story spread like wildfire, and with it, fear. The Galactic Council called an emergency session. Delegates filled the chamber, their voices sharp with anger and fear. They defied us, the insectoid lord shrieked. They broke the law, the reptilian warlord growled. They must be punished. But beneath the rage was something darker, a cold, undeniable truth. Humanity was no longer weak. Ambassador Reyes stood before them, his expression calm, but his eyes like steel. You gave us no choice, he said softly. You forbade us to defend ourselves. You mocked us, threatened us, and pushed us to the edge. We did what humans always do. We survived. The chamber erupted in fury. Some demanded war. Others demanded immediate surrender from Earth. Finally, the Council passed their decree. Humanity must dismantle its ships, hand over its technology, submit or be destroyed. The message reached Admiral Carter on the Valkyrie. He stood in silence, his hands behind his back, his face like carved stone. The other captains waited, tension thick as fire. At last he spoke, his voice steady. Then it is time. Orders rippled through hidden stations, through secret dockyards, engines roared to life, hangars opened, shadows gave way to steel. The Armada rose, one ship after another, until the stars were filled with human warships, not one, not four, but hundreds. Their black hulls gleamed, their weapons pulsed with energy. The silence of years was broken by thunder. Arya stood on the bridge of the Aegis, her heart racing as she looked at the formation. This is no rebellion, she whispered. This is a reckoning. The fleet moved together, a tide of power unseen in living memory. Every ship was stronger than Alien D. Signs, every engine burned brighter. They carried humanity's rage, humanity's hope, humanity's defiance. The galaxy had wanted them weak, but instead had forged their strength. When the fleet appeared on council scanners, panic erupted. Alien admirals stared in horror, their jaws tight, their voices breaking. This cannot be. This many ships cannot exist. It is impossible. But it was not impossible. It was real. Admiral Carter transmitted across the stars, his voice echoing through every empire. Listen well. We did not build for conquest. We did not build to enslave. We built to survive. If you strike us again, if you threaten our people, then we will show you what these ships can truly do. The council chambers fell into silence. No one spoke. No one laughed. For the first time in history, the galaxy understood what it meant to fear. Arya looked at the endless formation of ships and felt pride swell in her chest. Her brother's death was not in vain. Every insult, every chain, every threat had led to this moment. The humans had turned their pain into steel, their silence into fire. The reckoning had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same. The galaxy trembled under the shadow of the human armada. From one hidden ship to hundreds of warships filling the stars, the truth could no longer be denied. The law was broken, the ban shattered, and fear spread across every empire. The Galactic Council met in silence. For the first time in living memory, no one mocked, no one laughed. Every delegate stared at the images of the human fleet, their voices caught in their throats. The insectoid lord whispered, "This is not a rebellion. This is dominance." The reptilian warlord growled softly. They built in silence. They built in defiance. Now they stand above us all. Ambassador Reyes stepped forward, his face calm but his eyes sharp as blades. You feared us when we were weak. You tried to chain us. You tried to silence us, but your fear only forged our strength. We are not here to conquer. We are not here to enslave. We are here to survive. And from this day on, humanity bows to no one. The words echoed like thunder through the chamber. No one dared to respond because above them, in the dark of space, the human fleet waited, weapons primed, shields glowing, engines burning like stars. On the bridge of the Valkyrie, Admiral Carter looked out at the endless rows of ships. His voice was steady, unyielding. This is our line in the stars. Cross it, and you will not survive. Arya stood at his side, her eyes shining with fire. She remembered her brother, the colonies lost, the insults endured. Now all of it felt answered. This is our future, she whispered. No chains, no bans, no fear, only strength, only freedom. The galaxy shifted that day. Empires that once looked down on humans now looked up in silence. No longer the youngest race, no longer the weakest. Humanity had forced its place among the great powers, not with words, but with steel and fire. The Council voted not for war but for peace, not because they wanted it, but because they had no choice. They signed agreements that recognized humanity as equals. They granted them seats of power they had once denied, because to refuse meant extinction. In the hidden docks, celebrations erupted. Engineers, workers, soldiers, all wept with pride. The armada they had built in silence had changed history. Children in colonies looked to the skies with hope instead of fear, and for the first time in centuries, humanity felt free. As the Valkyrie led the fleet through the stars, its black hull gleaming like a promise, Admiral Carter whispered, "They forbade us from building warships. We built them stronger, and now the galaxy will never forget." Arya smiled as the fleet stretched across the horizon. The silent armada was no longer silent. It was the voice of humanity, and its echo would thunder across the stars for eternity.